But man, yeah, is that how we have to defeat racism until everyone stay inside? Seems
It's not a bad
tragic.
idea. We live?
We live.
We live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Opinion Factory podcast, the podcast for free thinkers and challenge seekers.
Yes, sir.
I'm Khelil.
I'm Alex.
And you know, one of the best things about being quarantined is
What?
being a brother, you and I.
Elaborate.
Going out on the streets and, you get those little looks on the train, on the sidewalk, those ladies clutching their purses, all that stuff. You ain't got to deal with that no more. You're inside, you're in your own abode, and all the people are friendly. There's no ignorance, except for, regular family shit, but you get to be yourself without any judgment.
Oh.
And that's
so
one of the highlights of this quarantine
so like
right
when
now.
everyone's inside, there's no more racism.
No one's racist at home.
You dope.
Or no one is a victim of racism. Well, I would hope so. I would hope so. That's tragic if you are. I probably shouldn't say that. That would suck if you are.
What?
Like if a family member, like if you're like half black, half white, and like, let's say like
I have many families that have that situation. They have that one uncle that's
the
just
uncle or the
saying,
aunt. Yep. But it's saying it towards you though.
No, it'll just be like in general.
Right, but what if he was saying it towards you?
Well, I guess that's pretty fucked up too.
That would just be trash.
Yeah.
And if he was at your house right now during the quarantine, and are you just home with that?
Hey man.
Probably more trash for him than for you, right?
2020, what can you do?
He's the one who hates you.
But man, yeah, is that how we have to defeat racism until everyone stay inside? Seems
It's not a bad idea.
Ooh, nah, it's a terrible idea.
Not a bad idea. How else would you combat racism? If everyone's out and about and you can see that person that you hate all the time, then you have the space, the opportunity to exercise that racism.
You know, man, I really don't know. One thing I do know though is that this education thing, if we educate everybody and everything will be good, I don't believe in that shit.
Wait, why not?
I just don't believe it.
Well, that's not a bad idea.
Man, people know. Bro, like, people know.
You would think.
No, they know.
No,
bro.
you would. They
know.
They know to some capacity, but they don't know.
Son, you can be ignorant, bro, but if a person is straight up racist, they know, bro.
I don't think so.
They are 100%
like you think those
know.
white supremacists would think that they're genetically superior to black people while being 400 pounds, diabetic, and all that stuff. Really,
they don't believe
really
that
know.
They don't believe that shit. They just think they're better. They just think they're better than you.
Exactly. But look at them versus look at.
Their genetic superior doesn't come to anything scientifically proven. They just think they're better than you.
Because they don't know the science behind it. They don't have that
No,
education.
you can give them the science. You're still going to make an excuse for why they're better than you. They'll be like, oh, look at history. Look at civilization. You were slaves.
And
my
you can
people
slap them
weren't.
in the facts on every single platform.
Slavery?
You can slap them in the facts over there.
Slap me with a fact about slavery right now.
They couldn't do it themselves. They needed us. How are you superior if you needed us?
How are you superior if you let me indoctrinate you?
No, I'm not saying I'm superior.
No, I'm superior because I indoctrinated
No,
you.
you're just more violent, probably.
I knew that I was.
You're probably just more violent. But one group needed the other. And how would the superior group be reliant on the other one? Because when slavery was abolished, the South went to the shits.
The superior group had more important needs to attend, so I'm going to take the inferior group to do my yard work.
Oh, is that why the South almost collapsed after slavery ended?
Listen.
Because they didn't need us. They were so much better than us.
I'm giving you the details.
And you can slap them with the facts on every single platform,
I just
bro.
feel like there's too much to dance around with this certain thing.
Not an excuse for slavery, by the way. But what'd you say?
There's just too much to dance around. Like, you can dance around the fact, like, they have their thing about why we're genetically superior. It's like, oh, we run the country. Look at us.
Yeah, that doesn't mean you're genetically superior, though.
No, but it just means they're not going to listen to anything you say. So that's why I think education at the
right point in time.
It's like a fairy tale, man.
Maybe after a certain point, then education is just useless because they're not open to it. It's not going to work if they're not open to it.
That's what I'm saying. So that's why I think, people are like, oh, we have to educate them. You're talking about grown-ass people, bro. They know if they're racist.
But
there's certain, like, all right, so let me rephrase this, right? There's this between straight up ignorance and racism, right?
Okay.
Ignorance could be like someone not believing the things that you go through, or they'll be like, oh, it's only a few bad apples, right?
Okay.
Right. That could be ignorance, right? Or like a person like mistreating you or something like that, and they'll be like, oh, this guy is an asshole because of this, and you're like, no, I know that's why this guy's following me in the store. Right? That could be ignorance.
Right.
But we're talking about straight up racism. This person is calling you the N word, calling you monkey. He's like, oh, you people are ruining this country, blah, blah, blah.
That says ignorance to me.
That's just racism.
That's like Fox News ignorance. There's ignorance in not knowing, there's ignorance in being misinformed as well. And racism in large part has to do with being misinformed.
What is oh, I hate your music. I hate your people's music. All you guys do is swear at each other, call each other words, blah, blah. I hear it on the radio, all the type of stuff. I don't like you. I don't like your culture, blah, blah.
And meanwhile, on Fleek, trending, invited to cookout, trending. It seems like they really like our culture.
Listen, man. They'll harp on the bad points, and they'll be like, oh, we like that part about it, but you also do this shit, so you're not as good as I am. Do you not understand what I'm like? Do you
No, I understand what you're saying. I understand.
And this is why I'm saying the education argument is just not going to fall.
It holds up if you educate them at a certain point. And I think maybe that's what people are trying to say when they talk about education. You got to get them all their kids.
I hear that about grown men. I hear that about Donald Trump. Oh, we got to educate. We got to educate Trump.
You don't feel like any grown racist would ever change their mind, no matter how much facts you throw at them?
If you're 70, 60, 50 years old, you are not going to change your core beliefs with me giving you education.
You've clearly
like,
never watched...
I am not going to come here and lecture you to be a better person. It just does not happen.
You've clearly never watched the Southern movie.
The what?
A Southern movie about the leader of the Ku Klux Klan changing his mind about black people because a black woman helped him out one time.
That's not through education, sir. That's through personal experience. That is not. Do you see the difference here?
Because
he's like, no. When you get that personal experience, now he
you
can
think that's going to be the difference?
Has way more leeway than education.
And the example I was giving was more than just an experience. She did try to educate him about her people as well, but there's also scenarios where, let's say you're a black nurse and you take care of an elderly white lady. Yeah. And she berates you every single day. Doesn't matter how good you do your job. Even though she has this positive experience with you every single day, she will still hate you and your people. So I can say in the same way that, as you say, education might not change their minds when they're older. Experience might not change their mind when they're older.
I mean, that one's going to die anyways. Like, what do you want? Like, what do you... Like, no, yeah, that person's not going to... Like, they're not going to change their mind. So I don't know...
So grown people can't change their mind once they're set. I don't want to believe that.
Alright, so there'll be no way to change someone's mind by arguing with them about, like... Alright, so there's two things. Like, arguing with them is not going to work, but also just calling them racist isn't going to work either. Like, I feel like those are the two things that never work. The education thing, or, like, we have to educate them, or just calling them names. Like, name calling never goes anywhere.
Right, because you know who talks about racism? Racists.
Exactly. So, like that...
What kind of stupid ass... I heard that before.
Of course you heard it, man. You only talk about so much because you invented the problem. Or you are the problem. That's the only reason why I talk about it.
What if we are the problem? What if there are some points that they want to make and they're only adamant about being racist because we're not really open to it?
You know, do you ever see that Jordan Lucas video, I'm Not a Racist?
Yes, I have, yeah.
When it first came out, I was like, oh, this is kind of, this is all right. Now I watched it again. And there's just that doing the Trump hat.
Right.
Just shitting all over black people. And like, oh, yeah, cool. I'm just going to, like, oh, yeah. Oh, you got points, man. You got points. You call me nigger. And I was like, oh, you got all types of points. But, hey,
Wait, so, like, when he talked about how they have children but don't really raise them? Like, that kind of thing?
Yeah, it was just, that's an ignorant thing. Like, that's a specific point that's just ignorant.
Okay.
Right? All this stuff. Poopy pants, all this other stuff. Like, he just don't like y'all. Music, everything else.
You don't think that's ignorance? Well, no, you're saying that's just ignorance, right?
Pants?
Yeah.
No.
You think that's just disdain? That's not ignorance?
Yeah, it's complete disdain.
It's kind of like a stand up for the national anthem, or there's no like type of ignorance or understanding that comes with that. It's either do it or not, and we like you, or we don't.
No, because I don't know if ignorance is the right word, but you can't educate those people into being like, okay, now this is what I see why you're not standing. There's even if
that's something simple.
Even if they see why you're not standing, they don't care. So this is what I'm talking about, like the racism thing. Like, I don't care. Oh, your family got killed by cops. I don't care. They're the cops. They make this country so great. Da, da. And it'll just be like, that's the end of the story. So do you see what I'm saying? So I feel like this education. I feel, the real way to combat ignorance, this has to simply be through personal experience. And there's not enough personal experience to go around for every single racist person. Be like, oh, hey, now I chill with this this Asian guy,
So
I'm not gonna make coronavirus jokes about them no more. You know, like that's the thing where you have to be
right,
with these people.
exposure.
Exactly.
How's that? How well is that working out for Boston?
Next question.
Serious question. Boston is a melting pot. And how well is that working out for us? There's all types of people here, but there's rampant racism here as well.
And then when you get to this point, though, how much of it is personal racism and how much of it is institutional racism? And how much of it, like, can you blame on the people that may be ignorant or racist, or versus the people that are in charge and purposely racist? Like, it's a very complex issue.
You can't fight systematic racism with education.
No, the thing with systemic racism, like, these dudes know what they know what they're doing.
Right, like you couldn't tell the president at H&M, hey, let me tell you about black people and why you shouldn't have done that.
They know what they're doing. Right? So they're either sending subliminal messages to, like, know your place,
right,
or subliminal messages that we're better than you,
or dog whistles to their white supremacist fans.
Exactly. So they know what they're doing for systemic race, for systemic ignorance.
The solution is to just replace the people in power.
How do you? Oh, see how complicated? Man, this is really complicated.
There's no simple solution to this. We're talking about eliminating racism, bro. There's no simple. But I think for systemic racism, you cannot change the minds of the people at top. You can't tell Gucci's president of marketing, whatever, that he couldn't do what he did, or she couldn't do what she did, whoever it is, whatever they did.
Question: what if this particular group of people was actually wearing your clothes in a way that they were not initially made for? Like, does he have any leg to stand on?
No.
No leg to stand on?
They're buying customers.
It's because you have. I'm not defending this person. I'm just.
No, I know what you're doing. Yeah.
I'm trying to provide some insight here. If I create, like, let's say you create a product, right? Let's say you create, like, a tech engine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was very popular when it initially came out, but then your tech engine was started getting used by terrorists. Like, how much of that?
That is very extreme.
All right, not terrorists. I'm sorry, not terrorists. Let's say, like, just people.
Because that's, like,
blatantly
illegal.
Right. Let's say by people.
Ku Klux Klan members.
Yeah, let's say by them, right? By KKK members, right? How much of that is really your fault as the original creator? And is it not your right to say, I created this, I don't want these people to rock with this? Because now you're doing it off of political belief that they have. And it's not the same as a racial characteristic. But does that person not have a valid right to say, like, oh, I feel like this person is disrespecting my platform. I don't want them using this?
When it comes to that,
like, even with clothes, like, if I saw someone was like, I was making these beautiful dresses for people.
When it comes to that,
and they started, like, ripping holes in them and just wearing them, like, all raggedy. I feel like it would like desecrate my brand.
And people ask politicians about that all the time. Like, you said this, but it turns out that this person in this far right or far left organization quoted you, or they used your book for their manifesto or something like that. How do you feel about that? Something you created was used to do something bad, or was represented in a bad way or something like that. And obviously you have to say, I don't associate with these people.
Yeah.
And if they're, objectively wrong or ignorant or, like, illegal or something like that, then you can say, I denounce these people.
Of course.
But if they're just a group of people who maybe they don't wear your pants on their waist, they sag a little bit. Oh, I hate these niggers. I'm about to shit on all of them right now because they wear my pants below their waist. I don't feel like it's the same thing.
It's not the same thing. I'm just saying, like, I don't want to defend these guys.
You have a valid point up to a certain, like, demographic.
And then what if he's not even, like, using racial, like, how do you even put that in context where it doesn't sound racist, right? Where if there's only one group of people that's doing this to my clothes, like, no other group is doing this to my clothes. There
was actually the example. I don't know if it was American Eagle or Abercrombie and Fitch, who said that the CEO, the president, said that they make their clothes in sizes small and medium only because they don't want fat people wearing their clothes. I don't remember which company it was. It was one of them, Abercrombie and Fitch, American Eagle, those types of people, those type of clothing lines. And he said, we only make them in a certain size because we don't want this demographic rocking our clothes. Is that right? Is he shitting on fat people?
Does he have the right to?
Does he have the right to as well?
If he had, like, you can't really force him to make clothes, and
you can't, but you still can call him a piece of shit, right?
Is that ignorant though? It's not like ignorant though. That's more of like, you see, and this is why it's so complicated.
But why? Why don't you want? Why are they ignorant? Why don't you want fat people wearing your clothes? What's wrong with fat people?
There's nothing. You just may not like the aesthetic they give off. Like, you want your brand to be represented by this look, and this person and that look does not go well, and does not go hand in hand in your.
You want the
eyes.
Sleek, modern, tall and slim look.
Dude, you want that like Cali fit, Instagram model look that everyone has in LA. Right?
Instagram model is no longer slim, but I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I know exactly. You mean like a Victoria's Secret model.
My bad. You're right. My bad. So,
I know what you mean.
But even they'll be mediums though, so it all,
Victoria's Secret models?
No, the Instagram models.
Oh yeah. No, I know some larges. I only follow the ones that are largest. Anyways. We're talking about pants, but anyways, that brings me to the question: why are they ignorant in the first place? Is it because of miseducation? Is it because of lack of experiences and exposure?
It depends on what degree we're going to. So if we're having someone that's like, let's say you're raised in a KKK household, then obviously your beliefs as a kid growing up, you believe that people are inferior.
Right, but I want to go.
That's a very small minority. If you're looking at people that just grow up to be racist, or just grow up to not like a certain demographic of people,
and maybe they don't even know that they're racist. Maybe they don't realize it until like they have to sit next to this person on a train or something.
And this is where I feel like personal experiences can go one of two ways. Like, let's say you've only had bad experiences with black people, or like if you're like a large part of America, right? You don't grow up in a multicultural neighborhood,
right? So
now the experiences you do have with black people, you see one guy sagging their pants, you see another one that is like, just like the and this also goes back in parts of the media, you just see like these stereotypical looks of black people, and now you think they're gonna harm you because of the way you saw them in the media.
So now you're being misinformed.
Exactly, right? So now, like, whether I see in a rap song or a movie or a TV show or on the news, I see a person that looks like this, and I never interacted with them before. So now I'm already think there's certain people act like this all the time, especially with me having no personal experience with them.
And you don't realize that those beliefs are being formed, right? No. Not until like you move to the city, you move to New York, and now there's a black guy who's trying to sit next to you on the train.
Like, if I was to tell you like how do people in Russia act, what would you base it off? If you just base off everything you saw, like you never saw, like, have you ever met a Russian person before?
Yes, but that's me.
Oh,
I actually work very closely with a Russian woman. So
was that the first Russian woman you worked with?
Yes, it was actually very interesting.
All right, and what initial impression did you have?
Her accent was very interesting.
Yes, like a Russian or
Never
Eastern,
heard one in person.
or like the Eastern European countries are like noted for being like very rough and rigid and
she's
tough.
She's quite the opposite.
Exactly, which is cool.
Yeah,
but if you didn't meet her, that impression might have stuck in your mind. Like, think of all the movies you saw.
Yeah, with the strong chins and the,
all the, like, Czechoslovakia, all the Ukraine, like,
they're
all
always
the
the
Eastern
villains
Europe countries,
in Hollywood.
Exactly, all the Eastern European countries, like freaking Rocky and all this type of stuff.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
All of them.
I think Die Hard too.
Yeah, rough, mean, like hard nosed and all this type of stuff, gritty. So that if you don't have those experiences with those people growing up in life, that's gonna be the thing that forms your opinion on them.
That's absolutely true. And so, as far as education versus exposure definitely goes longer.
And that goes back to another point. So that means, like, so I'm gonna ask you a question then. So this feels like the representation thing is very vital. Growing up then, so do you feel like people have the right to complain as much as they do about not being represented in cultures? Like, there's a couple groups that come immediately to my mind. But the first was like the LGBTQ community, where they complain about the representation or lack thereof.
Representation in like media or in politics?
In media. So do you feel like they have a leg to stand on, knowing how much of a impact the exposure can have?
Right. Of course. Because black people say the same thing.
But then you don't feel like there's been so many things that come out over time that now these sort of stereotypes have been eliminated now?
Not maybe to me and you, but not to people living in their microcosms, in their bubbles.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know a lot of, like, I think it was something Taylor Swift did. Yes, either Taylor Swift or someone else. She did a show where she was like an Asian woman, like a geisha or something like that. And she was a very stereotypical Asian woman, very submissive, meek, humble, not very assertive, not very for herself, easily controlled, whatever it was. And there was this whole huge outcry about it because now these Asian women are mad that she's perpetrating this stereotype because so many times in media, Asian women are portrayed this way, and now men in the real world think that now they can just find an Asian woman and have their way with them.
Yeah.
And that's something that Asian women are really facing in real life, and now she's perpetrating that because she's not representing them the right way. And so I do feel like representation does go a long way in that regard because it can have real life implications for sure.
It does, but then is there ever validity in that stereotype? Like, stereotype doesn't breed from nowhere, or does it though? Like, so are stereotypes just like bred from what we see in media, or is like, I feel like for example, right, black people play basketball, right? It's not. I mean, if I look up the facts of the matter, like the percentages, you'll see that a large number of black people play basketball.
Right.
So are these things like, I feel like every stereotype has some type of validity, even if it's right or wrong. You know what I mean? Like,
it does. Every
like,
stereotype comes from somewhere.
Yeah, even like an Asian stereotype of Asians are good at math, and it might not be because they're better at math, like physiologically,
right?
But it'll be like because of the emphasis their culture places on it. And then you look at like Japan, for example, bullet trains and massive feats of engineering and other mathematic related fields.
Right, and they definitely have their validity, their sources, but the perpetrating or perpetration, if that's the word, of these stereotypes become harmful, and that's when it becomes a problem.
And are you really perpetuating it though? If you're showing like something that's like kind of factually true.
Well, if that's the only thing that's been portrayed up till now, and then you're just doing that again,
is that your individual response? Is that your individual responsibility as a creator? Like, you know, like,
to be mindful of the culture that you're feeding into.
So, like, if I want to tell a story, now I have to factor in all of the people before me that have not told this story. Is that like really fair to me if I want to create something? Like, if I wanted to create a movie,
I think
like
it's an important question to ask. Especially as a writer.
That's why I'm asking.
Creator, yeah.
Yeah, so how come that becomes my responsibility now to tell this story?
Especially if you have a platform as big as that, I feel like that's definitely a question you need to ask yourself. If you're portraying these people in an accurate way. And it could be that this stereotype originated back when Asian women were supposed to be meek and submissive and all that, but now they're not. But that's just a stereotype that remained. And now you're portraying something that isn't really accurate anymore. Much like how women used to be housewives in the kitchen all the time, cooking, cleaning kids. And that's a stereotype that women are supposed to be like. But now that's not really the case anymore, but that stereotype still exists. So now if every single TV show out there now only has the wife being a stay-at-home mom, that could be something that's negatively affecting women in general, because everyone's going to think, well, why are you trying to go to work? You know what I mean?
No, that's true.
A lot of stereotypes are outdated. Even though they're based in facts, they're outdated.
Yeah, so
and that could be the problem.
Let's say the stereotype is outdated, but the other movies haven't done that before. Now I have to be the one that breaks that mold.
It doesn't seem fair, but I feel like that's an important. If I'm like Michael B. Jordan and I'm making a movie that is portraying a black character, right? Well, let's say I'm a Michael B. Jordan level person, right? Yeah. And let's say it's like 1967. I know how black people have been historically portrayed in film, and now I have a chance to portray a black person in a film. You don't think I'm going to consider how black people have been portrayed so far, if it's right, if it's not, if it's accurate, if it's not, and try to do that the right way?
But that's you as the actor, though. I'm talking about
that was Taylor Swift as the person, as the geisha.
Yeah. So, and I'm not really coming from Taylor Swift's perspective because that is a fair question to ask Taylor Swift because I don't even know why she would portray it.
If it really was Taylor Swift, I really hope
Yeah,
it was.
well,
I don't want
whoever,
to say the.
I
I don't
think
want
it
to
might
say
be
the wrong
Scarlett
name.
Johansson. I think it might, like, I know she
Oh,
got,
Ghost in the Shell.
yeah, I know she got trashed on for that.
That was because Ghost in the Shell was an Asian sourced. It was the source material was Asian, and then they casted a white woman to play the lead when it was really an Asian woman who was supposed to play the lead.
Oh, like Gods of Egypt?
Yes. Imagine like Mulan. Imagine if Scarlett Johansson was Mulan.
Welcome to the club.
Like,
hey, man.
I'm pretty sure she would have got torn up about that too. That's pretty much what happened with Ghost in the Shell.
It's fair. That's fair. No need to be doing that.
Right.
But I'm just saying, if you're that creator, and like, do you have this social responsibility now? It's like I have to be the one to help this combatant of ignorance that people have.
If you care about the issue, because if you're a white producer now and now you have a black character, you probably don't give a damn about how the black character is being portrayed. You're just gonna go with what worked in the past, maybe, and the stereotype worked in the past, so you might just use that. And I guess then it's not really. It's still on you that you made this character this way.
Yeah.
But I guess you don't feel like it's their responsibility, like you're saying. But if it's your own people. But then again, how do you even get that chance if, Asian people don't really, or LGBTQ people don't really get the chance to make movies maybe, or to determine what role exists and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
I just don't know if that's fair. Like, those people don't have the opportunity to make those movies, etc. But all they can really do is voice their opinion, I guess, until they, like, how do you even get the opportunity to make a movie?
I don't know.
Right, you have to, like, funded by a studio if you're, like, a really big director or producer.
Right, so I guess all they can do is voice their opinions and call for representation like they've been doing.
To everybody else, it's really annoying, though.
To everyone else who has representation.
Yeah, well... I mean, I get your point, but that does get really annoying. And when you see all these people start popping up in movies, it seems like you have representation now, but then you're just complaining. And then anytime someone doesn't represent you in the way that you want, you attack.
Well, yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, they can't take it too far. I know what you mean. Like, I know where you're going with this.
I don't want to. You're right. Yeah, let me stop.
You going to the CW?
Hey,
I know where you're going with this. Every other person in the CW is now homosexual. That's not how it is in real life. But since they call for so much representation, now they're being overrepresented.
Yeah, like doesn't it like defeat the point if it's not realistic?
It does, but that's not the discussion we're having right now. That's not the. But I mean, and that's also not to say once you get represented, now we've defeated racism.
No,
now
we've defeated ignorance. Of course not. Exposure is a big part of it. But like, what else can we do besides expose people to it? Because exposing people to it might not be enough. Because then you still might have that same thing where you expose people to it, but now they believe in it so much throughout their life and they had that lack of experience. They'd be like, oh, they're just trying to show them in a good light now. Like they'll be hip to it.
You know what I think? I think exposure by itself is not enough. It has to be mediated by someone that they already trust, perhaps. Like if the leader of the Ku Klux Klan came out and said, you know what, guys, I had dinner with a black guy last night, I'll be honest with you, and he was cool as hell, man. Like, we spoke, we laughed, we drank, and I don't know why I've hated them for so long. And it could be that a lot of members in that rally are like, you know what, man, I've had some good experiences too, man. They're not that bad. You don't know.
That boy might get lynched.
You don't know. You don't know. But if that exposure is mediated by a figure that they trust.
How many people do you believe that will sway, though?
I feel like a good amount.
Like, what's a good amount? Like 50?
I would say like 35 to 45.
All right, yeah. It'll be less than half, I feel.
Yeah, but if it comes from a source that they trust.
That's very good, though. I like that.
That could make all the difference.
But so now we have to influence the people. We have to influence the celebrities and cultural figures now.
Which is what we said when it came to rap music. We said that you got to start from the top. So why is it not the same for this?
Because the top of rap music also you have to deal with, record labels that like to perpetuate those stereotypes.
Right, but if it changed there, then it could propagate down to the people who consume it. And so if you start with the leadership...
It's very different to change the head of a record label's view versus the rapper's viewpoint. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that's why it's hard to change this. Like, it could be
But the idea, it's difficult going about it in those two different scenarios, but the idea remains the same. If you start at the top, it could trickle down.
Trickle down economics.
Trickle down economics. White people love it. You should try it out when it comes to this too. Because think about like politics.
Yeah.
Like we both just saw a clip where one side will not believe anything if it doesn't come from the leader of their own side.
Uh-huh.
And so if he says something that accurately portrays the situation, that could make all the difference.
It could.
He or she.
But now you're trying to convince this individual who has no incentive to give the other side credit.
But I mean, does that make the fight easier or more difficult? Because now instead of trying to fight every single racist that you meet in the street, now you go to the person at the top, and then he could just handle everyone else for you.
Yeah,
or she can handle everyone
get
else
these
for
people
you.
away from me.
You could, but that's only one fight now. You can fight all the.
So what are you gonna do? Like keep harassing him?
No.
He's like, you see? Hey, you see? What about this one? He's like,
listen, this is all off the top. I don't know what you can do, but obviously, if he keeps seeing, not obviously, but maybe if he keeps seeing something, then it might start to change his viewpoint. Or maybe if you remove him from power, the U.S. loves doing that anyways. Remove him from power, put someone else that you like. I don't like that. I sound like a very overzealous militaristic country right now.
yeah,
but,
you do, man. You really. Like,
but if you change the person at the top, it could propagate down. That's my point.
Very difficult to do.
But I feel like that's
and that person in
the
power
most worth it.
Got there by being elected by the people.
So
already.
they were probably the most racist out of the bunch. So now you got to change their mind because you don't become the leader of the KKK by being mildly racist. You know. So how are you gonna change that guy's mind?
So now you have to change that guy's mind, who's now their leader. Or maybe he wasn't the most racist. Maybe he was just the best leader, right? We'll give him the benefit.
Come on.
We'll give him the benefit, and not just for the KKK, just for other groups. You know, like I don't know, like men's rights active. No, not I don't know. There's some men's group that hates women. I don't know what they're called.
I don't know.
Right, but you know, you have those like the Proud Boys, just any of these groups based on an ideology that something or some group is inferior to them.
Okay.
I don't know how you change this, and I like the idea of changing that person at the top, but that seems very, very exhausting, and it also seems
More
very,
exhausting
very,
than changing all the people at the bottom.
It also seems very, very unlikely. Maybe infiltration is the best way. You know, especially if it's an organized group. Like, if it's not an organized group, like, if it's like things like just general racism, where it has no organization. But if it's something that's organized, you know, you have like a KKK, or you have like a women's hate group, or you have just any group of people based on that type of ideology, maybe the best way is to pose as them.
Be the most
and then change,
extreme out of all of them to rise to the top.
And then change the individual's minds that you are around, that you befriend during.
No, you might expose yourself if you're trying to change an individual's mind on your way to the top. I feel like the best thing to do is get to the top and then flip the switch. Just fuck with them. See what they do.
Oh, man. See, I was thinking of like there was a guy, I forgot his name. I'll put it in the video. He's done a lot of interviews. He did like this crazy documentary series about like how he's gonna befriend the KKK. And he defended a bunch of members of the KKK, and he actually like converted them a lot out of this.
Was that in person or was it just online?
It was in person.
So he, as a black man, befriended white KKK members?
Yes. Don't recommend doing it. But maybe this.
Tell the tale, huh?
Yes, maybe this is like one of the better strategies of doing it though.
So he wasn't even trying to pose as the KKK in the first place, was he?
I don't believe so, no.
So he just went to the rally and just started shooting the shit?
I'll have to my knowledge, kind of. Or he would seek out members and
what black man in his right mind would go to a KKK rally with the hopes of befriending enough of them to not get lynched that night, just on site?
You have camera crews there with you, and I don't know. I can't elaborate on the headspace of this man. I've seen him give several interviews. He seems like a good guy.
I'm sure he is. He must be an amazing guy, to be honest with you.
All right, so this sounds too dangerous. All right, so we can't do that.
I see a noose in anyone's future who tries that.
So what can we do? And right now we're focused on specific groups. If we take it back to like a general sense of like people just being racist or people just being ignorant.
Well, when it comes to ignorant, I still feel like education at the right stage in life is the way to go. With the old people, you can try.
But
I don't know.
How old is old people?
Old is like 70, 75 up.
Nah, I'm thinking like 30, dude.
30?
Yeah.
You can change your mind as a 30-year-old.
I just feel like you don't. I
30's
feel
young.
like adults don't change their mind often.
Maybe that's a whole different thing that we gotta have to change too. Then because once you get entrenched in your own thing, you feel like when you have a discussion with people like this, I feel like both sides feel like if you ever concede to one point, then that means that they win the entire argument,
which is ridiculous.
And so one of the things I like to do is I don't know what the specific term for it is called, but it's like a creeping argument, right? So if you say like gay people are abominations, right? I will say, well, if Jesus was here, do you think he would call them the same thing? No. Do you feel like God hates them? No. Like, I would ask like all these things.
Okay.
Right? And then I'll say, so therefore, are they abominations?
Yeah.
And they will still say yes.
Exactly.
Even though it doesn't make any logical sense to say yes. But why? Because they know at that point that, well, no, it doesn't make sense. But now if I say no,
you feel stupid.
You feel stupid.
Can we really win things by making people feel stupid?
That's the thing. No, we can't.
Exactly my point. Like, you can't make people feel stupid. I think, I saw a video that said like how Trevor Noah argues with people or how he debates people. And one thing he does is that he concedes a lot of points to
very important thing to do. Yeah,
other people's side. Now I don't know how you concede a point to gay people are abomination. Like it's either. It seems like you agree or disagree, right? It's like, yeah, but I don't think that's like, but it's other scenarios where you can talk to people about certain things about race,
like let's say
religion,
right? Yeah,
and you can concede certain points, like, oh yeah, maybe they shouldn't do this, but like I see what you're saying. That's something they need to improve. And
you would think that by you conceding your point or a point that they make, then that would give them permission to concede points that you make. Does it really work that way?
It's not even about conceding points that you're making. It's about building a level of trust to the person you're talking to.
Right, exactly. So you feel like if you're able to do that, then that will give them permission to do that. They would trust in your ability, in your desire to not make them feel stupid enough.
Yes, exactly.
To be able to be comfortable enough,
like,
right?
Imagine if you were having a philosophical argument about religion with somebody, right?
Okay.
Let's say you're an atheist and a Muslim, right? We'll just throw those out there. You come out here and like all Muslims are all
Muslims are terrorists.
All believers are stupid, or Muslims are terrorists. Or,
okay.
Not even Muslims are terrorists. You just say like, oh, if you believe in God, you're an idiot.
This magical man in the
like,
sky,
yeah, right? You can't see anything, and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And I'll come at you, but then if I come up to you to a more endearing type argument, where it's like I understand why you believe what you're saying, and being a person of faith is very hard, but then all these mysteries and unexplained things in the world, how did they get here? Do you believe you just really came from a couple particles of dust, and over year after year after year, millions of years, things just got here? Where's the evidence? Oh, how do you know? Oh, because the science book told me. Do you know if those science people were lying, etc.? Oh, no. So what do you have? You just have trust or faith that they didn't misguide you for whatever reason that they did, right? And now it makes more sense to why the religious person has this view.
Right.
You as an atheist, like I didn't make you feel stupid during that argument, but it's more of an endearing argument. And now you're like, okay, now I can see your viewpoint. I don't know how we do that with them. Like I don't know how we do that with any hate group or any hate group. Like, yeah, I mean, black people suck, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think, especially if you're part of that demographic.
Because you can say, well, I can see how the information that you've been exposed to has been really one-sided, but
factual arguments don't work.
Well, of course, they have to. No, that's what you used.
Factual arguments don't work.
You can't just appeal to emotion and hope that works.
But that's what I did in my religious example.
You can't just only do that.
You can't only do that. You can provide some facts, but factual arguments don't. If you just throw numbers at somebody and try to reason behind them, that's not going to change everybody's mind.
That's ridiculous.
People do not change their minds.
Numbers don't change your mind. If numbers don't change your mind, there's something wrong with you.
Look at this, right? I could say X% of this people are. I can say black people are criminals and mass murderers. all the murders from all the murders in this country come from black people, right? Or the vast majority of it is black people. Black people do all the killing in this country. Now look at like your face right now already tells me you're skeptical of it. But then if I can provide the facts that'll back this up, what you will try to do is you'll try to reason behind those facts and provide some context. You won't try to be like, oh, these numbers are it. Oh, black people are criminals. Black
Well, it
people are
could take
dangerous.
some convincing. But if you show me the numbers, and the numbers are from trusted sources,
Yes,
what can I do?
From FBI,
What can I do
CIA.
at that point?
What you will do, and what I imagine you'll do, is you'll argue that, okay, here are the reasons behind this and why this seems this way.
Well, if there's a reason behind why the numbers are what they are, that kind of disproves your point, I'll bring that up.
Yes, but I'll just
But that's
point to
not-
the numbers, though. That's just be like, numbers don't lie.
Well, what are those numbers
why-
representing? Numbers don't lie, but if you can lie about what those numbers are
I
saying.
can frame the numbers in a way that will
Exactly.
support my argument.
Exactly.
No matter
So
what.
if I can deconstruct that frame and see what the numbers actually say, that's not me not believing what you're saying, and that's not me saying numbers lie or whatever. That's just me finding out what the numbers really mean.
You could do that, but the initial base number still shows that these people do most of the
The
killing.
initial base numbers aren't entirely accurate.
The numbers themselves are accurate. The reasons behind them are misleading, though. The context behind it.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So if I say like 70% of black people commit all the murders in this country,
And that was actually the case, but you're saying, well, 70% of black people are in poverty and stuff like that. Is that what you're saying?
yes, exactly. You give me like the
No,
you
then
give me that
I'll give
argument.
you that.
You give me the. Will you give me that though?
No, because if
I will
the-
because I will argue like, oh, the biggest reason why would be the lack of trust between the police and black
But
Americans.
what was the discussion? If we're discussing
It was
whether or not
about
70%
black people being inherently violent, and that's one
Inherently violent?
Yes, and that could be one of the reasons why they're genetically inferior.
that number doesn't say that black people are inherently violent.
It does, right?
That number just says that people in poverty tend to commit more crimes.
So what you're just saying now is black people are poor.
But if the argument was that black people commit the most amount of murders in this country, and then you show me a stat, a verifiable cold hard stat that says 70% of the murders committed in this country are by black people,
Yeah.
and that's not something I believed. If you show me that, then there's nothing else I can say. I have to believe this.
Well, maybe you, but I'm saying the majority of people will try to reason behind
And what they would actually do is change the argument.
You think so?
Yeah.
But even now, we still have a problem. Like that's what I'm saying. Factual numbers, like you can't just come up with somebody with facts. If you try to change the argument or you try to reason behind I think reasoning behind the facts is because context is very important.
It is.
It's very important. So I think reasoning behind them is a logical thing to do. But I think people will just stay with the
But
initial reasoning.
we have to use facts. We can't just use emotion to
No, we
get
can't.
rid of racism, bro.
We can't.
You want
No,
racists
no.
and hate groups to be understanding and sympathetic to emotion because the people that they've been hateful against have been hurt?
Are they?
Come on.
So now we have to dig into a couple of things, right? Are these people like really bad people, or are they just misinformed people that you can show the light to?
I feel that's a very
You know,
that's a very deep topic, but to me,
like, go ahead.
if you put action behind it, then you become a bad person. If it's just only a belief, then I feel like you're misinformed. I feel like if you become the leader of the KKK and you lynch like hundreds of black people because of this belief,
Yeah.
you're a bad person.
So if you're just a man and you think just women suck, right?
Right, but
women suck. They're only for babies and cleaning, right? That's your belief,
right.
right? And then someone, and you've held this belief throughout your whole life. It's been reinforced to you by things you've
And
seen
I'm
in
now
media.
47 years old.
Yeah.
Right.
And now it's the way you treat your wife. It's the way you treat your kids. Like you don't take them.
Oh,
serious.
so I've put action behind that.
It's like indifferent action though. It's like you just stop them from becoming anything more.
I'm a piece of shit.
Okay, yeah. Maybe that wasn't the best example.
No, it was.
No, but I think
It was a
like,
good example, but that's the reality of it. It's a hard reality, but if you're like, if you grew up in like, let's say, Irondale, Alabama, I think that's a place. I hear it all the time. And you live in this rural town. You're this nice blonde hair, blue-eyed girl, and everything that you've seen has led you to believe that black people are dumb.
Okay.
You turn 19, you go to college, you go to New York City for college. You go to class, and, oh, a lot of black people. I wonder how they got here. Right?
Yeah, of course.
I wonder if she needs help. I wonder if he's struggling. You go to the train. Oh, more black people. Let me stay on this side so I don't really interact with them. Right? But you haven't really berated anyone. You haven't denied opportunity to anyone. You haven't done anything to anyone yet. At that point, you're not a bad person. You're misguided. Mm-hmm. But let's say you go all through college. You haven't done anything to anyone. You become the CEO of like some bank. And now, because you believe black people are stupid and can't handle money, you don't give any loans to them. Now you're a bad person. Because now you've been putting action behind that. Now you're ruining lives and you're affecting people, the world around you in a negative way. Okay. To me, now you're a bad person.
Which is, I think, very valid and the right answer, of course. But it just becomes a very iffy scenario where, like, I just feel like that person in your example, they go up north and they just see, like, those black people. They would probably, like, how did they get here? They would reason behind it, like, government handouts, university handouts,
right.
Diversity, or maybe northern blacks aren't as stupid as southern blacks.
Oh, you think that's...
I think
that's going to cross somebody's mind?
100%.
So you go...
I feel like...
I highly doubt that. If someone has that stereotypical view in their head and then they meet someone who challenges that stereotype, you think they're going to...
Yeah, they'll be able to difference. They'll be like, oh, this is the one different example. But then if they keep seeing that example over and over again, then it will start to break down the overall.
You know what? Yeah. Because that reminds me of one of my favorite shows, Avatar: The Last Airbender, right? Yeah. There's a character, Sokka, and in the first season, he was very, very sexist. It's like, you're a girl. Let me handle all the fighting. Let me handle all the tent building, all the firewood, and all that stuff. They get kidnapped, and they get to this village with a bunch of female warriors. Oh, you can't be the warriors who attacked us, who ambushed us. We're the men who attacked us, who captured us. It was just the females. And then he keeps getting his ass handed to him by a bunch of women until ultimately he realizes that women are just the same, can be just as badass as men. And he comes to that realization through exposure. And ideally, that's what everyone goes through, right?
But that's, like, you see how specific that was and, like, how much work that was?
Right. But that's kind of like what you said, because he kept saying examples that challenge that stereotype over and over and over again.
We can't send everyone, like, what do you want to do? Send a bunch of black people to Alabama?
We tried that.
All right, so we want to do.
That's somehow it goes.
Send all the Alabama people up north to, like, Chicago and all these other places.
Oh, Chicago. You send them to one of the
Chicago, wherever, like New York City.
I wouldn't want to send them to one of the places where blacks are struggling the most to try to get them to see. I don't want to convince anybody of my worth. That's the thing as well. As a black person, if I meet like a southern woman who has racist views, should I really try to convince you that I am equal to any of your white peers?
So how do we combat this problem?
I don't have to convince you with shit, bro.
I don't know.
I don't have to do it. After a certain, do you just ignore this? You can't, because then your life gets affected by it. But why do I have to prove my worth? At a certain point, if I'm in a room with a white person and I'm making them uncomfortable just by being the skin color that I am, I don't give a damn. Honestly, I don't. I'm not going to try to convince her that I'm not a threat.
Of course. Very valid. But when it becomes an overall societal problem, like, what happens now? Like, when people start dying because of it, when people start getting mistreated and stereotyped, like, we can argue it's not just for black people either. Like, other demographics face similar issues that we have now.
So should we go the other way and stop focusing on integration and focus on segregation, like Black Wall Street?
That does nothing, though. That's not going to... I don't think that convinces...
No, like, stop trying to convince people.
Oh, he's just talking like complete separation.
Like, is that where we should be going? Can you really completely integrate?
That's a very... I don't even think that's possible. I don't think that's possible without a very severe changing of not only laws but land. And I just don't think that's going to happen.
It happened before. Like I said, Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah, but that was during segregation times, which again,
you're
severely
right.
different laws.
Good point.
So that can't be the answer.
So do we need laws to...
We have a bunch of anti-discriminatory laws already. discriminatory laws. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So you can't discriminate against race, religion, gender, sexual orientation.
But is that even all right? So let's
disability.
Let's say those laws were not in place, and if you wanted to, you could create your own microcosm of cultures in America.
Okay.
Is that the wrong thing to do?
No, because you see places like Chinatown. You know,
right.
You see places that
literally,
that have those.
But they're not barring anyone from living there. You just highly recommended not to go there. Right?
Exactly. And how racist or sexist or whatever do you think those places really are? Especially not having those beliefs challenged on a regular basis.
Oh, those places will be very racist. That's the thing.
Is that like an inherent thing?
And this is kind of the you can't beat them, join them kind of argument.
Is that an inherent thing where
racism?
they'll become like not even racist but just discriminatory because they don't have the interaction with those people?
I feel like naturally that's after like a long time. I feel like that's where it's gonna go.
Mm.
But if those groups never interact with each other and they don't have control over each other's lives, is anyone really getting hurt?
I think so.
And this is kind of like the go back to your own country if you don't like your hair argument, which I don't like. But at the same time, do we need our own place? And stop trying to convince these white people that we're worth something, or these women. But then when it comes to sexism, what do you do?
Past that point,
this has to do with racism specifically, but not just ignorance. But when it comes to sexism, what do you do?
Yeah, you can't just be like...
You can't have women over here, men over here. We're just going to live our separate lives for like hundreds and hundreds of years. That's not going to happen.
Exactly. So, I don't know. We've been talking about this for a damn near an hour.
I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty sure we weren't going to figure out how to beat racism.
No. I mean, obviously not. But we need some steps in the right direction. Obviously, media exposure helps.
Right.
But then at the same time, a lot of these people that already feel this way might purposely avoid this movie because it now has an agenda. Like you see, it's a lot. You see, it's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Especially in video games and comic book movies, a lot.
Yeah.
Places that have been historically sexist, right? Historically, I remember I saw like this whole thing. I found it to be like kind of bullshit, but at the same time, I saw where it's coming from. Like the Mario games were very sexist, right? Mario, Princess, like it gives into the male fantasies, what they call it. Like you save the woman, she becomes your girl, and happily ever after, and you can do whatever. But beyond that, I would argue I think a better argument would be like, you watch anime or whatever,
right?
Anime titties, right? Everybody know like the women in there, like triple Fs always have their cleavage out
on average. Yeah.
Freaking same thing with video games like Tomb Raider, all this type of stuff. Like even if I'm going through a forest, I'm still gonna be like freaking cleavage out and everything. Right. So short shorts, not giving me no type of protection at all. Exactly. And right. Like to the point where it doesn't even make sense. Right. I just do not know. And then when you see those people they switch the agenda on, like, not even push an agenda, but like Captain Marvel had this whole big thing in Avengers, like the comic book movie, the Avengers, where she comes in and now she's like the biggest badass out of all. And she came out of nowhere and now she's like the savior. And it kind of does seem like an agenda, but at the same time,
do you think if it was a man, it would have been taken differently?
Of course,
if it was Thor who came,
they're already used to it, So how do you, like, even if you just drop that exposure, now people are gonna be like, I see what you're trying to do now. Right. I see you just bring these people in here and not only like either as tokens, or either like some saving grace, or we can be badass too, even though you're like rewriting the stuff to make it seem this way.
But then that has to go with, do you think that what they're trying to accomplish is wrong in general?
It's not even about that. It's about the way that they're presenting it to me. Like, you have to put your mind, you have to put your head, you have to put your think about how the other people view that way, right? Am I coming to the conclusion that, you have these comic book characters, like you have in the Avengers movie, you have Captain Marvel coming to save the day. Out of all of them, she's just a character that got introduced like a movie before. Is it about like, oh, this woman was really strong, or is like, now I'm coming with this agenda behind the Me Too movement, behind the woman empower movement? Like, how does that seem to me? Like, if I go to a bunch of white people and be like, oh, here's LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Barack Obama, and like, oh, see, black people. Yeah, black people are cool, right? Black people are cool, right? Like, you would just be like, no,
no one likes having something shoved down their throat.
Exactly.
And that kind of goes into the difference between Wonder Woman, the movie, and Captain Marvel, the movie. And I feel like a lot of people thought that Captain Marvel went about feminism the wrong way, while Wonder Woman went about it the right way. Because Wonder Woman was really a powerful woman, and she did all these amazing things on her own, and obviously she was the strongest character in the movie, but she had this male support, and she couldn't do everything that she had accomplished without his help, right? So it doesn't go to show that women can just shit on men if they wanted to. It goes to show that they work well together still, even with the women in the leading role. Captain Marvel, what did that have?
Just had
in terms of equality or support or like the relationship between men and women.
The guy was inferior, but he's still helping her. Like
Which guy? Nick Fury?
Nick Fury, yeah. So it was like, because he did help her
in battle.
No, not in battle, but he helped her with like that scene when they almost caught them.
In the building place.
Yeah, in the building when they almost caught him.
Didn't Agent Coulson get them out of there?
No, I was what else Fury? He like led them the wrong way.
Agent Coulson, because Agent Coulson caught them. Then he said, "Guys, they're on the 8th floor and they're really on the 6th or something like that."
Oh, it might have been. You might be right.
I saw Captain Marvel a long time ago, but
still,
a lot of people was looking at the difference between how they approach feminism.
No, I get your point.
And people were more receptive to Wonder Woman.
Yeah, and then even worse, the worst thing about Captain Marvel was, and like I thought the movie was solid.
Yeah.
Right, and now like as comic book fans, we knew who Captain Marvel was.
We knew she was very powerful already, so I didn't see any agenda.
But now you're coming with people, like as us comic book fans, but like let's look at like extreme comic book fans or whatever, like diehard comic book fans, and then you have the people that just enjoy the Marvel movies. You're coming with this. You're what, like 20 movies deep into the storyline, and you have the biggest villain you've ever fought. And then out of nowhere in the big movie, spoiler alert, out of nowhere she destroys like this massive spaceship that's been this dude's headquarters and plays a major part in defeating the dude after she just came here like a movie ago. It just seems like this character's not even badass. You're just a character you just put in here because she's a woman to
prove that women are good too.
Exactly, right? It wasn't like build up like the whole time. Like Wonder Woman's been with Justice League for how long? Right?
Since the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. So Wonder Woman's been with Justice League for forever. And she's always been, the second? Like, she's like female Superman.
Pretty much.
Just a little less powerful.
Pretty much.
Right? She can fly, jump, got the bracelets, the lasso. Like, she got everything.
The speed, yeah.
So she's just pretty much like a slightly less powerful woman Superman. With, like, no known weakness.
So what about Scarlett Johansson now? Black Widow has been in the MCU probably since almost the beginning.
And the reason why I went flew with her was because... like, she was just too weak to do what they were doing. Right. But even, like, people had that, they had the rapport with her. Like, it's almost like someone that you trust. Right? Like, you were talking about, people, if it comes from someone that they trust, that they give a message or something like that. If she did something, like, really powerful or crazy.
If she had, like, planted a bomb in the ship or something and she faked her own death and she did some crazy stuff to make the tide of the battle turn, then people would have been more receptive to that.
Exactly. But now you're coming in with, like, this...
Captain Marvel Ex Machina.
Yeah, like Black Knight or White Knight type thing. People aren't going to respond to that.
Right. What I was going for when I was saying how if that's something that they see as implicitly wrong, what I was thinking of how people are saying that there's a homosexual agenda going on right now. And how they're trying to feminize the black man. They're trying to make gay people, they're trying to normalize homosexuality. It's going to turn the children gay and stuff like that.
And this is one that's so tough to break down. Because,
like, how do you fight that type of ignorance, if it's even ignorance?
That's the thing. The people, and now we're coming into like a point that we haven't really talked about, where it's, do the people believe that they're wrong in their beliefs? So like
no one believes their beliefs are wrong.
No, but do they believe like they might be misguided? Like they don't believe their beliefs are misguided. So now, especially with this topic with the gay agenda, especially in the black community, you have a community already which is like historically very anti-LGBTQ.
Right. So
you have this, and then now you have like with this community that's already very against this. Women in dresses.
Men in dresses.
Men in dresses. Openly gay, openly flamboyant, which was never, even if you were gay, like never accepted to be in that type of way.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, you have like now like changing genders, etc.
Right.
You're pushing all this on them very, very fast. They're not going to respond well. You just can't, like, it's like just bombarding people with, like, black people. I'm like, oh, black people are cool, right? It's just not going to happen like that.
So, might even make them hate you more.
Exactly, right? Because now you're trying to convince them of something they already think is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, well, look at this one, look at this one.
And now they think, well, since they're fighting so hard, maybe now I got to fight back harder.
Exactly. So there's a lot of barriers to break down when you're trying to fight ignorance.
You gotta have finesse. You need finesse to fight ignorance.
So, but we agree that you just can't ignore it, though.
No, you can't. You can't. My example with the segregation, that only deals with racism. That doesn't solve ignorance at all. And I mean, the goal is to solve ignorance.
And what happens when you come into clash, right? Like, how do you prevent another Tulsa? How do you prevent another Black Wall Street? How do you prevent, like, more bombings? Like, without that interaction going on constantly, how do you prevent these things from happening?
Right, so you need that constant interaction.
It's exhausting, though. It's really exhausting.
What is exhausting is being constantly discriminated against no matter what you do as well. So you can be exhausted to a point or exhausted just perpetually.
The other day I ran to and something happened. I just really wanted to get home safe, right? That is very exhausting to feel like that, right? It's like something happened and the police were around and I didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
But I just feel like I need to get inside my house.
2 days ago,
right?
I was taking a walk. It was at night. I had my hoodie on. And out of nowhere, I just saw like police lights flashing up right behind me. Yeah. Sirens turned on. My heart started pumping.
Exactly, right?
Pumping. They drove past me. It wasn't me, but my heart was beating, bro.
And think about that feeling.
It's horrible.
It's horrible. But then now you have to take that feeling and carry that feeling that you feel when this happens to now convince other people that this shouldn't be happening. So now you have like that, like whether it's trauma for you, will be trauma for a decent amount of people. Now you have to carry this feeling and not only tell them, but now you have to convince them on top of it. You have to convince them these things.
Like, I hate it so much.
But there has to be
there has to be.
Yeah, so now you have to convince them, and that's going to infuriate you even more. That's going to exhaust you. Like my thing is, it might exhaust you more than that. How terrified you were, right? Like think about that. That's going to exhaust you more than how terrified you were in that moment. Now you're gonna have that. Now you're gonna have that terror that you had, and now the exhaustion on top of it. You know, because that as bad as messed up as it is to say it sounds, how often does that police thing happen? Like I haven't felt like that in a decent amount of time.
Right.
Right. And I imagine you haven't felt like that in a decent amount of time. But it only takes one time for it to go the wrong way, and bang, you're in jail. Bang, you're dead, or like whatever. How exhausting will it be to continually try to get people?
It is exhausting, and a lot of people are giving up.
No, and this is what kills me about these fake woke people, man. This is a whole separate conversation that we'll have an episode on it. But like, nobody would be this happy if they're actually woke, bro. Like, if you know all the messed up things that are going on, you're not gonna be like, oh, I know more than you. I'm so smart than you. You're gonna be like, no. I'm like, you're just gonna be like here, like you. It's like you know how the world started or something. You're just gonna be really tired.
Like think about presidents.
Exactly, right? like think about that. You know all the messed up things going on. And you're gonna be exhausted. There's not been one look at Obama's before and after.
Right.
Not one president comes before and after. Look all that stress, not from just the job, but all the stuff they know they gotta keep confidential. That like they probably wondered about or thought about like whatever. Like
imagine if you knew the coronavirus was coming out before 2020.
Yeah, no, like imagine if you knew and you had to play it dumb or like something's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many powers at string, you don't really know what's actually going on.
You know what, man? Speaking of exhausted, we've been talking about this for a long time. All right, for a very, very long time. I feel like we have some great ideas in here.
We have the exposure and personal experiences, but like I
through this.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's a good conversation.
And I really want to know what you guys think. I know no one's gonna solve racism in the comments, but
maybe like a first step. What's the first step you should take?
The segregation idea was a bad idea. Or is it?
I understand where it comes from.
Right. And, the exhaustion and all that stuff just makes you just want to stop trying to convince people. That's kind of where I'm at right now. So let us know what you think. What should we ask them?
What should be the first step in combating ignorance? Whether it's racial discrimination, sexism. What is the first step
in combating ignorance
to convince people or groups that things should not be this way?
And, by that answer, you kind of saying that people need to be convinced. Do you probably think that people don't need to be convinced? You just do your own thing and fuck what they think? Who knows? Until it comes back and you need a mortgage. Right?
Right? It's always going to come back to you. Man.
But let us know what you think down below. like the video, like the audio, share with your friends and your family.
Opinion Factory Podcast, Apple, Stitcher, Spotify.
You know the drill. Please
YouTube.
like and subscribe. It takes 2 seconds. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and you're still going to have time to slide in your crush's DMs. I promise you. All right? You can still do it. Just hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and you still have all the time in the world.
Notification bell. And we will see y'all
next week.